My name is Richard Lee. I'm over 25 years a solicitor, and I've often thought to myself, wouldn't it be useful for people selling property if there was a short practical video available that told you what you need to know? So with that in mind, I've interviewed Joe Byrne, a very experienced estate agent. Joe, you're an estate agent.
Yes.
Have you been an estate agent long?
Nearly 30 years now, Richard.
That's
yes.
a long time.
Yes.
You must have accumulated a huge amount of wisdom and experience in that time frame.
Absolutely, and I started young.
In terms of somebody selling a property,
Yeah.
What tips would you give them?
I suppose some of the key elements really are kind of preparation and communication. So always good for somebody who might be considering putting their property on the market to, I suppose, talk to the key professionals at an early stage. So typically they are obviously the solicitor and an estate agent to give kind of good, practical, sound advice as to how they should structure the process, talk to them in relation to timing, valuation, process, presentation, and kind of run through all of that advice.
And if I'm selling my house, are there ways that will help to achieve a better price?
There are, yes, very fundamental ways really, which do come down to elements such as timing, presentation, pricing, strategy, all of that. So it is important that you would, I suppose, accumulate as much advice, and it's important then that, you know, in terms of selecting perhaps an estate agent that you would engage with, is finding somebody that you can work well with, because you will go right through the whole process with them.
Okay, in terms of presentation, I'm often asked, what can I do that will make my house more appealing?
Sure.
And are there some things I shouldn't do?
Yeah, sometimes people get concerned about perhaps doing full redecorations or repainting and things like that, and it's not always appropriate. Some of the main key functions are probably kind of, as most people tend to accumulate a lot of furniture and belongings and that through one's lifetime. A declutter is generally a very good thing. A little bit of curb appeal from the exterior perhaps is often very good as well, that people would have gardens kind of trimmed, represented, so that both from the photography point of view, the house looks attractive and appealing. Natural light, declutter, good presentation really helps. Okay.
In terms of a time frame, if I decide to sell my house today, how long is it going to take, on very average general terms, to get to a finish line?
Generally speaking, in the prevailing market, you want to kind of allow, ideally kind of a week or 10 days just to have everything prepared. Because obviously we'd need to prepare floor plans, brochure descriptions, you may need to get a BER certificate done, which is a building energy rating certificate. It can generally be prepared for you in a few days, but you do need that when going to market. Ideally you'd like to handpick a good day for weather to get good photographs, and then you'd be ready to launch your property to the market. So process generally a week or two preparation. Prevailing market, generally speaking, if you have the correct kind of pricing, you would anticipate perhaps being on the market anywhere within a kind of a 4 to 8 week time scale. And then once you go sale agreed and into the legal phase, that generally is taking kind of a further 6 to 10 weeks perhaps. So all in all, the process is generally probably somewhere about 3.5 to 5/6 months.
When I go to sell my house, one of the things that I suppose I'd want my estate agent to do is tell me what it's worth.
Yes.
Now, from your point of view, how do you do that?
Well, obviously we've been in the business a long time. It's obviously what we do day to day. We do keep a database then of all comparative transactions and sales within a locality. And obviously the little fundamental differences then that would alter somebody's values would be things like orientation. Have they extended the property? Is it in better condition than perhaps another one that was sold? And these are the elements that will typically then fine-tune how we arrive at the appropriate valuation for you.
Okay. And then when you're putting that house on the market, do you put the house on the market at a higher? Do you pitch the price higher? Do you pick a price that's lower to bring people in the door? Or is there a pricing strategy that you would use when you're selling a house?
Generally, it's probably really appropriate that you price the house at its correct and appropriate kind of level. Sometimes you will have vendors that will have perhaps different expectations, and they may wish for you to try something perhaps at a higher level even initially, just to see if that may work. Or if there's negative reaction in that, obviously then you can look at pulling your pricing strategy or altering your pricing strategy down the road.
It's something that I suppose, I'm talking with people who are buying property, they're always looking at this price that they see on myhome.ie or wherever, and they're wondering, is that the hoped for price, or is that the actual price that house is worth? So what would you say to that person?
Unfortunately, it can vary because it really depends on what the seller's instructions are to their agent in terms of pricing.
Okay.
So it would be a good idea to talk to the agent and ask them what their expectations are relative to that asking price, and that would be a good idea.
Okay. Sometimes what happens is, I think, that buyers are afraid to talk to the estate agent. They're afraid to show their hand.
Yes.
They're afraid that to say the wrong thing. Is that a genuine fear, or is the estate agent...
I'd imagine it is a genuine fear, and
Yeah.
it's really not something to be fearful of, because I think good, clear communication is important. Obviously, the estate agent's role is acting for the client to maximise the price, but that doesn't mean you don't give good, genuine advice to a buyer in terms of helping them move closer to it. Ultimately, it's their decision as to what level they would or wouldn't subsequently offer. But it is a good idea that they would talk to the agent, because the agent will help them and give them guidance.
Okay. And when the buyers come along, do you vet those?
Yes, we do. We ask, obviously, I suppose, the pertinent questions as to their buying position. Have they a property to sell? Are they sale agreed? Are they sold? Are they first-time buyers, cash purchasers, or loan approved? And we do tell them that, look, if they become the successful purchaser, we will need evidence of their ability to purchase. So whether that would be a copy of their loan approval, or else evidence of funds if they are, say, a cash purchaser.
Are you, as an estate agent, regulated?
We are, yes. Yeah. The Property Services Regulatory Authority, yes, govern our industry. So literally, we are heavily regulated and monitored in the way we can act and perform.
And if a buyer pays a deposit,
yes,
is that money safe?
Yes, it is. Yes, yeah. The money would be, the booking deposit that they would pay initially would be held in our client account, and there's very strict regulations and guidelines on how that's held. So the money for the buyer is safe. Yes.
No, and if they decide to pull out before signing a contract, is that money lost?
No, the money is actually fully refundable to them if, for whatever reason, the transaction does not complete, up until the point of the contracts being signed on an unconditional basis. Okay. Once that happens, they are contractually bound, but up until that point, whether it be survey, change of mind, change of circumstances perhaps, the money is fully refundable to them.
Okay. Does the estate agent have any role to play with the vendor's solicitor or the purchaser's solicitor, or is it, from an estate agent's point of view, my job is done when it goes sale agreed?
No, we're very much into, I suppose, a different phase at that point, whereby we would liaise with the selling solicitor principally to ensure that, obviously, once we know contracts have gone out to the buyer's solicitor, then we can liaise with the buyers and notify them that that's the case, and that they should engage with their own solicitor to make sure everything is moving forward. So if there are any queries on title, things like that, that they get that seen to quickly. Other elements would be in terms of if you are a loan-approved purchaser, and your bank will need to send a bank valuer to the property to inspect that, to do the bank valuation, and or if you're doing a structural survey. So again, we would work with the buyer through those visits and through those phases, and keep the selling solicitor informed, likewise, that all of these are moving to the right direction.
Okay. I hope you found this video informative. You're very welcome to contact the parties involved. Thank you.